Good morning, community. How are you? How are you on the East Coast? Good afternoon. It's 12 noon for you. How are you? And on the West Coast, we've got a little overcast. I think it's going to warm up today. Janine Macklin here, transformational speaker, your wealth guide and catalyst. And if you don't know, you can find me at JanineMacklin.com. First, I want to acknowledge our essential workers. Who are you and where are you? Can you give us a shout out when you come on? Just let us know where you are, what state you're in, and how are you. I was out and about yesterday and I realized there's quite a few people on the road, at least here. Now, when I went out, where did I go? I went out last night late around 7:38. No one was out. So to my essential workers, where are you? What are you doing? How are you? And what support do you need? Next, for my ladies, where are you? I want to personally invite you to join me, okay? Join me in a powerful conversation around how we handle our money. No matter where you are at this point with this experience we're going through, no matter what your circumstances are, there would be no reason for you not to come and be a part of the challenge. Our relationship with money is convoluted at best. If you're like I was, no one taught me about money. No one talked to me about saving. No one talked to me about credit cards. No one talked to me about the credit score. I thought they were like spies, the 3 credit bureaus. When I found out about them, that tracks everything and tells you what you've spent your money and how many times you paid something late. I knew nothing about any of that. I had to learn that on the road of life. And the reason why I didn't know is because my parents didn't know. So if your parents didn't know, they couldn't teach you. So we're teaching ourselves. We're talking to ourselves. We're sharing information with other women. And we are schooling ourselves on what it is we need to know, do, and be so that we live financially whole, financially complete, and at peace with some assurance that we're going to be okay. So I want to invite you. It should be below, but if it's not, it's simply www.createmywealthplan.com. Go there, sign up, and then hop on the calls with us. I've got to create amazing giveaways, $1,000 plus worth of giveaways for participating, but I want you in the conversation. Because how do you have equal pay in your jobs? How do you have that if you don't talk about money? If you won't talk to the sister next to you or the sister over there and everybody's like, oh, just doing their little thing, we don't want anybody to know, then how will you know if you're on par, if you need to be asking for more or what? Because there's already so much frustration that many women have going to work every day because you don't feel like you're getting paid enough for the work that you do. I think that's a separate conversation because you probably, like so many of us, do more than you need to do because that's just who we are. But how do you begin to ask for the money that you want in your life or in your business when you won't talk about money? When you don't know what you need to know because we just weren't given that information. And it's not a secret. It's simply about taking the time to slow down, to listen, to learn, and to plan. So I'm inviting you to join us in the conversation. Today we're looking at what's the energy around manifesting. How do we manifest our dreams and how do we manifest our goals? I asked the question yesterday and put it in the group, I will feel financially secure when I don't what? And several people said, when I don't worry, when I don't have to check my checking account every single day before I do something. So come join the conversation. It's a free challenge. Get the information. There may be one tip that you hear from one woman that is like, wow, I didn't realize that. There's a lot our parents didn't tell us because they didn't know. And if you haven't talked to someone else about it since you've been growing up, you still don't know. We don't have time to keep making the same mistakes with our money. We only get the money that we get, and it's less than what men get. So we have to be strategic. We have to be confident. We have to be disciplined, and we have to be committed to the very goals that we say we want for ourselves, for our family, our children, and then also for the world. So come on and join us. The next conversation we're going to be having, which is so amazing to me, is that thing that I hear so many women say about I buy things I don't want or I don't need and I don't use. How come we're doing that? And what does it take for us to stop? I've got the answer because there's only one thing that's driving the buying things that we don't want and we don't use. And that one thing we'll be talking about. I wanted to hop on today though because I said it's getting hard, and I happened to pass my TV. I had it on this morning just for sound, I guess. And I heard, what's her name? Kelly Ripa. And they were talking about it. People were saying it's getting hard to keep track of the days. And how is that for you? Have you found that to be true for yourself? I know when I get up most mornings, I get up because the sun rises, and I go to bed because the sun disappears. There are so many times that I do not know what day it is. I'm like, okay, what's today? What? And when we were on the routine and the regimen of that, it was real simple because you had to get up, go to work, maybe get your children ready for school, or maybe you and your husband, wife, partner, whoever just got in a car together, drove to work, or you hopped on the subway. But now, without having to go to work or having to go to school, you wake up and you're there. You're like, okay, what am I doing today? And then you're like, okay, what day is today? And I ask that more and more. It's getting harder to keep track of it versus what I feel like is we're beginning to live according to the way maybe our ancestors lived, according to the land. So when the sun comes up, people are up. People are up walking and chatting around here like it's 6:30 in the morning. I'm like, do you guys realize some people are still asleep? But they're up chatting this in the morning, walking their dogs. You can hear we create our own cycles. It's a cycle of them. Group of women come, like 5 of them. They're all walking and talking in the middle of the street. And then between maybe 10 and 2, I hardly see anybody. Maybe 1 or 2 couples. And then again around 4 or 5, there's a whole group of people that come walking again. So it's like we create our own routine. But it's getting hard to keep track of the days. Most mornings when I get up, I'm like, okay, what's today? Like right now, I'm like, okay, what's today? Today is what? Today is Thursday. So that's why when I put on there Thursday tips or Wednesday wisdom or Monday mindset, it helps me remember. It's like living in the flow of life right now, which is a lot different than when we were living under the pressure of you got to get up, you got to get to school, you got to be on work on time so your boss doesn't give you a hard time. Or for me, I've got to get up, get my son to school, get to the gym, get back home and get on the phone to talk with my clients. Well, it's not happening as regularly like that. So we can find ourselves really flowing with life instead of, I don't want to say fighting with life, but just going, just living to get things done. Now it's really about a sense of quality to our lives if we really want to look at it. I mean, even when I talked to you the other day about calling my fathers on Father's Day, to actually take the time to talk to them, 15, 20 minutes or whatever. One of my dads had gone into surgery. One of my other dads was dealing with having to take care of his son, and our gym was closing. It was just wonderful to stop and pause and talk to them and hear their voices. And I noticed that there's that lull, there's that slowing down in the process. So what it's like for you, that wasn't complete, right? What is it like for you moving, living, and getting things done in the circumstances that we are in? We started this as a health crisis, and it continues to be a health crisis. And part of how we move through our days, what we're going to do with what we call summer, really impacts our sense of health, our well-being, how we feel as we go through our day. A lot of what I think our work provided for us was a sense of accomplishment, was a sense of, for some of you, it was a job you didn't like, you went because you had to take care of your family and your kids, and that's significant and important too. So now that you don't have that for the moment, and it looks like we won't have that for at least another couple of months until they figure out what they're going to do with the students. I'm hearing about transitional programs for kids. Some will go on Monday and Wednesday, others will go on Tuesday and Thursday. Just hearing that already brings my anxiety up. It's like, what are we doing? So I have to manage that for other parents. As you hear it, it's like, well, how do we work, or how are we going to do what we're going to do? So going forward, it would seem like we're going to have oh gosh, what was it? Years ago, something happened, and we did it on odd and even days. I know it was gas. We're going to have odd and even days where kids are going to school, and I have to figure on those days they go to school. Maybe their parents will go to work, and then on the other days they'll be home, and I guess the parents will be home. I don't know if they're going to be able to get the daycares open to provide the safety. Remember, we are in this kind of container until we have a vaccine. Otherwise, when we get sick, we will have to do the normal things that we do to move ourselves back into wellness. So, how is it for you? How are you keeping track of your days? How does it feel for you, like it's not going to ever end? That we're not going back to the way it was. I'm sure you're clear about that, right? but what are you looking forward to? What is it you want to see your life feel like? How do you want it to be for you? And also, have you begun to think about how we're going to connect? I was just, again, running through my living room and I saw Kelly and them saying that, maybe we'll get back to the handshake. But in a lot of countries, people don't do handshakes. Maybe we won't get back to the handshakes. Maybe we'll be doing this to say hello, or we'll just nod to say hello. I know people are doing the elbows and they're doing the hip thing, to connect. But it's really interesting that we have this ritual of greeting that involves hugging, embracing, shaking hands, but ultimately it involves touching. And so now we're looking at how do we reevaluate how we greet each other and honor each other's presence. And I love that one. And the Chinese, Japanese, and the other cultures, let's say that, I know they would bow to each other. So there was never any touching going on, which is why a lot of their numbers are low in some of the other countries. But how are you feeling in the midst of this? Because now is a time where it starts to feel like, okay, we've been doing this long enough. What's coming? What are we going to do next? Can we get back to some kind of semblance of something? And the answer is no. We're in a process. If you've gone through any serious medical issues and had to look at diagnosis and treatment, it's a process. You have to go back every week for the doctor maybe to get a shot, or you have to go back every week to do a blood transfusion or whatever. You have to go back every week and do it on a consistent basis, whether you want to or not. So here we are now. We've been in this, we on the West Coast, my son came home March 13th and never went back. So I'm using March as the day. So April 13th, May 13th, June 13th, and we're heading into July, just a week away, 4 months into it. And so there has to be maybe some sense of you that's like, okay, what are we going to do? How long is this going to last? And more importantly, how long are you going to last in this process? How long are your finances going to last? How long are you going to keep the roof over your head? How long are you going to be able to take care of your children and feed your children? Those become the larger concerns. So I want to ask you, please let me know. Once a month, I've been meeting with people at the Prosperity Blessing Circle, supporting, coaching, giving you tips on what to do and how to do it, listening, and providing references or referrals as you need them. So please feel free to join us. Again, ladies, I'm inviting you again to go to www.createmywealthplan.com and sign up and get into the conversation we're having about our relationship with money. We have got to change it. We've got to improve it and have greater confidence going forward, because life going forward may be a lot different than the way it has been. And as prices keep rising and salaries don't necessarily keep up with prices, it becomes almost mandatory that we become strategic when it comes to handling our money, taking care of ourselves and our families and our homes and our lives. So let me know. #replay, what state you're in. If you're an essential worker, what do you do? How can we support you? To my ladies, join the conversation. I gave you the link. I'll put it below as well. And to all the rest of us, we're on this journey together. I don't know, I haven't been tracking the protests as much, because as it began to turn, the energy around the protest shifted. I thought, well, it's time for me to back out. The anger of the other people was starting to rise up, and there was starting to be conflicts around the protests. And it's interesting because it always becomes that. At some point, it feels like it's truly us against them. Like white people are like, okay, we're tired of this. You guys have marched, you've done this. Now you're taking down our statues and you're doing all this and what? And then they rise up and then you end up with, and I thought, I'm not doing that. So one of the most important pieces before I go is you've got to be clear in your state what's happening with voting. June has been a month of primaries. There have been elections and there's been problems. So you've got to stay on top of that game if you're going to be a part of the process, because that's where all of the push and pull and friction is right now. I think I said to you last time, if you're having challenges with money and finances, be sure you're calling companies, you're being proactive. Don't do like I did when I was in debt. I was like, oh no, oh God, please. I didn't want anybody to call me. I was so afraid to talk to them. They felt like they were going to just beat me up and take everything that I had. But now you have something to stand up strong and be able to say, we're in this together. What support can you give me? How can you help me out? Where can I get a break here? Where can we delay something here? Be willing to advocate for yourself and your family with all of these companies, because we're all in it together. And then in the process, while you have some free time, why not learn some other things about money? Why not meet with other women who are dealing with some of the same things, get some tips, some strategies, some ideas of how we move forward, more conscious with our money, more confident in our money, thinking about financial freedom. I want you to think about what that would mean and look like for you. Thinking about what it feels like not to have to worry about money. And then come on in the group and join us. It's fun, it's laughter. I'm giving giveaways. I'm going to hop over there right now and tell them I got another giveaway for them. But more importantly, it's a group where you can get support, ladies. You can be honest, get your questions answered. No one's going to give you a hard time about how much credit card debt you have, because we've all had credit card debt. Most of us. We've all had to get in it and out of it and maybe got back in it again. So many people have filed for bankruptcy. We've been through it. So let's learn from our experiences, pull out the money nuggets, and then allow those to become what you stand on as you go forward in building your financially fit, your financial freedom, and your financial confidence. So have a great day. Let me know, is it hard for you to keep track of the days? Because I truly wake up every day and say, what day is it? And I don't have an immediate answer. I'm like, okay, what was yesterday? And I'm judging my days really based on what I did, not on a day. So that's what makes it interesting for me. Share with me how it is for you. I look forward to hearing from you. Take good care. Be alert. Be proactive wherever you need to be when it comes to your family, when it comes to your resources, when it comes to your health, and when it comes to protecting yourself. Let me be clear. What I'm saying is, if there's any self-defense classes you can take or anything online that you could take that might help you be or feel more confident, if something were to happen while you're out and about, do that. Okay. At the same time, I understand the purchases of self-protective arms, firearms, are on the rise, particularly for people of color as well, because you must know that everybody else is prepared if they need to be. So why we're not choosing to be prepared, I understand that we're a meek and mild people, but we don't want to be stupid. When the time comes, and if you can, you want to make sure that you have what you need to keep yourself protected. That's true. That's prayer. Yes, that does include God. Yes, that may include fasting, but yes, it may also include whatever you need to keep yourself safe if you're out and about walking, exercising, or by yourself. Just saying, that's the way of the world these days. So take good care. I look forward to hearing from you. Ladies, I look forward to meeting you. Again, to my essential workers, please, #replay, EW, our essential worker. What are you doing? How are you? What support do you need? For now, take good care. I'll see you tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Oh, Friday. Okay, got you.